about it, it may even be unfair to this year's combine because we just don't have that kind of talent. Last year's combine also had Amari Cooper, and I mean there were huge people in last year's combine. Todd Gurley, people who are going to be superstar players in the NFL.
Even the running back core. I mean, I'm just like, I think the only guy that I really like running back wise is the kid from Ohio State, Ezekiel. So I really, linebackers, corners, I really didn't see a whole lot this year in the draft.
Are you listening?
Damn. I just want to say a few more words about this past weekend's combine. One of the worst of all time, we'll all agree. I seen guys on the offense, and even I could run past. Just awful. I'm trying to understand when they invite these guys, where do they draw from? What are they looking at? I think there were some guys that should have been there that weren't invited. That's okay. I'm not as hard on the guys on defense. I see some guys on defense that are going to come into the league this year and they're going to make a mark. So, defensively, good pickings. Looking at the quarterback situation, though, Carson Wentz is the popular favorite amongst all the experts. You know what that means? Carson ends up in Cleveland. Now, maybe they said that just to force him into Cleveland to get people not to think too much about Jared Goff. Jared Goff is the 49er fan favorite. I was on that wagon too. But what did Trent do? Trent comes in just 24 hours after the fact. Trent announces, well, we'll be looking at the second or third round for a quarterback. We're pretty much looking at Connor Cook. I know. Where was Connor Cook on your list? I had Connor Cook way down here at about 28 or 29. There was absolutely no chance for me to think about Connor Cook. Now, they said he had a bad shoulder. Coming down the stretch in Michigan, that's why he looked the way he looked. Who cares? He still looked like Connor Cook and rated way below a lot of other people. So Trent says we're looking at him at the second or third round. Jared Goff fans, of which there are many of us, must have fell down to the knees into tears. I was right with you earlier, but I've come around because I've been talking to you. You're absolutely right. We don't need no quarterback in the first round. They could be a bust. So therefore, you get your best athlete at the number 7 pick. It could be Miles Jack. Miles Jack could easily be the pick of this year's litter. He could fall to us. DeForest Buckner. I've already got plans for DeForest Buckner. My front line down 3. I got DeForest Buckner on the left. In the middle, I got Quentin Dial. To the right of him, I got Eric Armstead. Do the math. That's 20 feet of angry humanity coming at the quarterback. Try to run. Where you gonna go? Try to pass. They put their hands up. We're talking about guys with wingspans. You can't see. Oh, I want that so badly. Besides, Jalen Ramsey could fall to number 7. What if Joey Bosa falls to number 7? Vernon Hargreaves. These are not guys you can miss on. Yeah, I'm excited because I've decided to come over. I feel like I've been saved. I'm no longer worried about the quarterback situation. I have a remedy though. If you insist on having a quarterback in the first round, next year, Tom Brady did this. Tom went to the Patriots and they gave him a 2-year extension. Be Jimmy Garoppolo for a second. Jimmy Garoppolo, as you know, has been the backup quarterback for Tom Brady for years. Jimmy's sitting at home thinking, what? Jimmy was thinking Tom should be ready to leave by now. He's almost 40 years old. He's already accomplished enough. Why doesn't he want to at least think about leaving? Tom's not leaving. In fact, that joke he made about playing for the next 10 years, Tom wasn't kidding. So there's Jimmy G. There's no way he's going to stick around and wait. His contract expires next year. Where am I going with this, right? Get Jimmy G next year when he leaves Boston. Why? Jimmy G has been tutored by the best quarterback in the NFL, Tom Brady. He's got to be good. There you go. We're all set. You don't like that? It's the best that can be done for you right now. I want to check you out and see how you felt about this week's combine, or should I say last week's combine. I want to see how you feel about that up close and personal. Jimmy G. Fam, we've got the pleasure today of hanging out with 49ers fangirl. Tracy, who you know, has her own blog on YouTube. It's Talking Touchdowns, of which she wasn't able to talk too many this season.
Most unfortunate.
But hopefully that'll change next season. Tracy, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Could be better. After this past weekend's combine, though, it was one of those ho-hum experiences where you're kind of left wondering, last year's combine was so outstanding and entertaining. What do you think about this year's combine?
Well, this year's combine was somewhat underwhelming, but as I think about it, in fairness, last year's combine had Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota.
Yes.
And that arguably two of the best quarterbacks at 1 and 2 we've seen in a very, very, very long time. So as I think about it, it may even be unfair to this year's combine because we just don't have that kind of talent. Last year's combine also had Amari Cooper. And there were huge people in last year's combine. Todd Gurley, people who are going to be superstar players in the NFL. This year's combine has a lot of potential, but maybe not as much stardom off the bat.
And that's just that. Well, maybe that's going to be okay because you never know in the combine because we're talking about the Underwear Olympics. These guys can look great later. Maybe they just don't perform well as they are out of the field right now. The thing that kind of was really bad was the quarterbacks and the wide receivers, the most important guys on the field possibly. There was a field reporter that went over and asked, so gentlemen, and this is the coaches she's talking to, gentlemen, how do you feel about the competition today as far as what you've seen by the exhibition here? And there was a consensus. They just weren't blown away by anything they seen. I'm wondering though, were they sort of keeping quiet about how they really felt about that? Just so maybe it's not to give away who they may be choosing in this year's draft. What do you think about that?
I think it's a combination. I think it was a somewhat underwhelming day. Jared Goff had a good day. I think Carson Wentz had a good day. I think Paxton Lynch had an okay day. But then all those people, the Connor Cooks of the world who had a chance to shine, didn't. And I think that was true on the wide receiver end too. The people you assumed would be good were. And I know there were a couple guys who did really well in ball catching skills, but then maybe didn't run a super fast 40. But I also think, I don't know, granted, I am not a GM, I'm not a coach, I'm not an NFL scout. So I say this with saying that beforehand. I don't know how much the combine really tells you about the kind of player you're going to have on a field. It's so different when that ball snaps and there are decisions to be made. And I just think it's a completely different thing. And so, yes, obviously the combine is there for a reason and the events are there for a reason. But it's hard to tell how much the combine is an indicator of NFL success.
Absolutely. And you mentioned Jared Goff. Are you a Jared Goff fan? Because we're in the Bay Area, so everybody loves Jared Goff. Are you looking forward to them picking him up in the first round, or you got another choice?
I have another choice. I do like Jared Goff. I think he's a great quarterback. I think he has tremendous potential. My reasoning for having another choice is that the 49ers have so many needs on that team. And even we don't know what's going to happen with Cap. I feel a little differently now because a few weeks ago I felt like between Cap and Gabbert, there was enough going on at quarterback that if the rest of the needs were filled, they could compete. They're not going to a Super Bowl, but they could compete and win some games. Now, of course, it's a little different with the Cap situation. So, we'll see what happens there. But I just think even if we end up with Gabbert as the starter, if the other needs around him are met, I think Blaine Gabbert is a perfectly adequate starter. He's fine.
I like him.
I would say, maybe I should rephrase that. He's an okay starter. I actually think he's more of an adequate backup. But I think there's he definitely improved, and there's just so many needs on this team. I think to use 7 at quarterback on this particular year. Now, the Kaepernick situation, of course, changes my thoughts on that a little bit, but I think there are potentially people we could get in later rounds, maybe a Vernon Adams, who could become a good quarterback later. Of course, we all know Tom Brady was picked in the 6th round, so you just don't know. My number one choice at 7 is Miles Jack. I just think he's one of the best players in the draft, if not the best, and he fills a need that the 49ers need, and that's a position where I think he can come in day one and start to make an impact. So he's my personal favorite.
See, there you go. She's got great, she knows what she's talking about and knows what she's doing. But she did condemn us. We are not going to the Super Bowl next year. Tracy, did you just say that we're not going to the Super Bowl next year?
Well, I think it's important to be somewhat realistic. Listen, anything is possible. I can love to be proven wrong. I would love next year for you to be like, 49ers fangirl said we are not going to the Super Bowl and we're going. And I will be thrilled to have been wrong. But
wait, let me write that down.
Chance, we didn't even go Harbaugh's first year where he took us from like, I think 6-10 to 12-4. We didn't go. But probably no Super Bowl. If we have a 9-win season next year, I'll be thrilled.
There you go. But that's that. Anyway, we'll talk about that when it does happen. But Anthony Davis coming back this year should improve our situation. Are you concerned though? Anthony Davis, we're not talking about a guy like Michael Jordan who can take a season off and come back. Are you concerned with Anthony Davis coming back in this year? Is he going to be okay?
He says he's been training and getting ready. I think if he comes in and he's committed, I think he'll be okay. I do think it's very hard for an offensive lineman to take a year off and jump right back in there. But let's be honest, even Anthony Davis at 75% is going to be better than what we've had going on there. So I'm happy about that. Trent Brown could come around and make an impact. I'm not saying the 49ers shouldn't draft an offensive lineman somewhere in the draft, but that's a position that takes time to develop, and that's an area that this team needs improvement on desperately. So I would be more interested in seeing Anthony Davis, Trent Brown, and then potentially picking up somebody in free agency. Not that there's a plethora of great offensive linemen in free agency, but there are a couple of guys that you could plug in and who could be helpful to this team.
I noticed you didn't mention Alex Boone.
Well, I think Alex Boone, we'll see. I hope they re-sign him. It's going to be a money thing. Granted, we have a lot of money.
Yeah.
Maybe not you and I, but the 49ers have a lot of money to spend in free agency. And it depends how they spend it. I think Alex Boone is probably a good place to spend that money. I don't think Alex Boone is one of the great offensive linemen of our time, but in terms of what's available and who's out there, I think Alex Boone is worth the money.
You gotta love. Tracy keeps it real too. She's not about to over worship any of our guys or citizens Super Bowl anyway. But you know what? Next year, this gonna be surprising because we never know what's gonna happen. But I kind of agree with that. And Boone's gonna ask for too much money. You knew he was gonna do that. Last year, we're talking about the guy who held out before camp started. So Boone's, well, it wasn't last year, before last.
Yeah.
So he could be a problem. So
which I think that holdout really affected the team, in my opinion, because by the time he came in, he'd really missed preseason, and I think it had a huge effect on the team. But, you got to play the card you're dealt and what you have, and he's good, and hopefully they can sign him. If he wants to stay, he may not. I think there's a lot of disgruntled people. There have been changes, but I think there are people disgruntled with the organization. So my hope is that Alex Boone wants to stay on the 49ers, and they'll figure out a way to make it work.
Oh, but Tracy, you haven't left yet. Here's the thing, because to sign off in this program, you have to put yourself out at Levi Stadium and give us the big yell. Let me give you the countdown so we can cue you.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Go Niners!
That's what I'm talking about. Not a fam. Got my boy Patrick back again. Patrick, what's up?
What's up, Ronbo, man? How you doing?
Doing all right, man. Because, I was just talking to Patrick a minute ago. They've replanted him. He's come all the way from Virginia. Now he's in SoCal, but in the best part of SoCal, San Diego, California. Everybody wants to be in San Diego, man.
San Diego, yeah. I love it, man. Weather's great.
Yeah, exactly. And the people are cool.
Oh, yeah.
Patrick, man, the 49ers, I'm saying, I put the 49ers here and the Combine here. And I want to draw a link together to see if the relevance of this weekend's Combine has anything to do with what we're going to do. How did you feel about the Combine? Did you see anybody in the Combine this year compared to last year? My own personal feeling. Compared to last year's dramatic Combine. This year's Combine did what? You see anybody there that blew you out?
You know what? I really didn't see a whole lot of outstanding players, especially, the 40 times. They really, really, really kind of disappointed me a little bit.
Yes.
The wide receiver group wasn't as great and swift as last year's. Yeah. And even the running back core. I mean, I'm just like, I think the only guy that I really like running back wise is the kid from Ohio State, Ezekiel. So I really, linebackers, corners, I really didn't see a whole lot this year in the draft.
That's pretty funny. Ezekiel, you know how Trent is, man. Every year,
Yeah.
Trent, it's a tradition with Trent Baalke to bring back a running back, but he rarely takes him in the first round. There's Ezekiel Elliott, and I'm telling you right now, when I looked at the numbers and compared everybody, and I looked at what everybody needs, Elliott could actually be available at number 7.
Yeah, and you know what? I think, honestly, I don't think we're going to go to a running back this year. Only reason why I say that is because we have a plethora of running backs.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Davis came out and showed out pretty good last year. Carlos Hyde's coming back off the foot injury. So we got a bunch of people that can, play at that position. And then you got to look at Chip Kelly's offense. You know what I mean? Like, Chip Kelly uses a lot of slot receivers in his offense. He runs the ball, but not as much. He's more of a pass first guy, run second later. So, offensively, I think we're good at running backs as long as we stay healthy. That's the biggest thing.
And like last year, depleted the entire core. But the rumors are already out there that Douglas Martin, man.
Yeah,
Dude
I heard
was-
about that. I heard about that. I mean, I like it. It's a good combo to Carlos Hyde. I mean, he's a good third down back. But, I wouldn't be surprised, Ronbo, and just call me crazy here. But for some reason, I have this thing that, Carlos Hyde is going to have a great year. And also Bruce Ellington. I think Bruce Ellington, because I've been reading reports that Chip Kelly's intrigued love with Bruce Ellington. And he's going to come out this year and show out a lot. And he reminds me of a Darren Sproles type player anyway. Ooh. So that'll fit in Chip Kelly's offense.
Okay, but not only Darren Sproles, but the thing is, there is that possibility that man, DeJuan Harris, is like the transplant of Sproles into our. I mean, that's just the dude is blazing fast. He can hit a hole just like that and gone.
Oh yeah.
Same.
Oh yeah, and you also got to remember we got Smelter too. So there's a lot of people that were hurt last year that can probably show out this year for us.
That's why I said forget about Treadwell, man. Because Treadwell, you know what? If I got Treadwell on my team and I got Smelter, and if anybody says, okay, you go Batman, who's gonna be the most productive? I'd put it on Smelter, man.
Smelter, yeah, me too. I think it's gonna be real productive. You know what I mean? And plus, Anquan and Torrey, and Bruce and all the rest of the receivers we have. I mean, they're all good, but I want to see Smelter come out and do great things because he didn't really have a chance to do it. Last year because he was injured, and coming out, I seen his highlights from Georgia Tech, and he is an amazing receiver.
Yeah.
He's an amazing receiver. So I think,
Yeah, well, because, the thing is, Anquan may not make it back next year. Wonder what they're going to do with that.
Well, you know what? I mean, you got to give it to Anquan, man. He went out on the white horse, man.
Yeah.
He left. He didn't get a Super Bowl ring with us. He did with the Ravens, so against us, ironically.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he had the Man of the Year award, and that's big in the NFL. So I think that with that and the Super Bowl rings that he had with Baltimore, I think he's pretty much done. But at the same time, who knows? He's still hungry for football, just like anybody else that plays the sport. They're always hungry to play.
Was just checking out some news that made me laugh. I said, everybody's wanting to see Jared Goff be drafted. Now, the 49ers are talking about what we're going to do is we are going to draft for the defense and we're going to go free agent for the offense.
Yeah.
That immediately says we ain't drafting that boy at number 7. We're going Miles Jack. We're going DeForest Buckner. I mean, there's all kind of choices, man. We can even see a cornerback, man. Vernon Hargreaves looking awfully good, man. So is Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
Man.
I'm a linebacker guy, and like we said earlier, prior to, I'm a linebacker guy. I mean, honestly, I like Jaylon Smith, even though he didn't show out in the combine. He didn't do anything in the combine because of the knee injury. But I mean, other than the injury, and a lot of people are skeptical about it. But Trent Baalke is always taking shots for people that were injured. For example, Smelter, great example right there. He was injured in college, and then Trent took a chance on him. So Jaylon Smith, I mean, with his ability, I mean, in Jim O'Neill's offense, our defense, his 3-4 scheme, I think we can really, because look, when you look at our schedule this year, right? We play a lot of teams. We play the AFC North, okay? And I believe we play the NFC South. So those are a lot of teams that like to pass the ball. You got Tom Brady, you got Cam Newton, you got Matt Ryan, all these different teams that play the spread offense. You have to have a linebacker that can cover. Patrick Willis was okay in it. He was a great, phenomenal linebacker. In coverage, he really wasn't that, on toes, whatever. But I really think that Jaylon Smith, or heck, Darren Lee from Ohio State, I mean, think about him. I mean, he's 6'2", 235 pounds, and he's a monster. You know what I mean? So he gives offenses fits. I seen his highlight tape too. So I think linebacker's the way to go, man. And doing that with Jim O'Neill's defense, the 3-4 defense, it'll open up some gaps and let them guys fly inside.
You know what? That's why what's probably going to happen, because you know how they got this obsession about big, they're going to grab Buckner at the first pick and then pick up Jaylon, because he'll be available in the second round.
Yeah, with the injury.
Let him heal up, and I don't know about this year as far as helping Navarro out, but Jaylon should be ready in the 17 season, because they said this year it's just not going to happen, because he was just barely able to stand up and do that interview yesterday on the combine, so he ain't going to be ready this year.
But I look at his highlight tape, man. If he was healthy, he would be a top 3 pick, hands down.
Yeah, I'd say If you're not going for the quarterback like Cleveland is, and also that Tennessee is going for Tunsil because they need to protect Mariota, he would. Yeah, you're right. 3, because the thing is though, San Diego is looking to trade down. I don't know. They just want a couple more draft picks, so it's hard to see. They lost a receiver. Maybe they need Treadwell. They can get Treadwell probably number 4, number 5, number 6 or 7 maybe. It's kind of.
Phillip Rivers need another target, with Antonio Gates being at his last leg, and then they got Stevie Johnson from us a couple years ago. Yeah. So they definitely need a receiver.
Yeah. Give me the shout out, bro. 3, 2, and 1.
Niners!
He still got it. Thank you, 49ers fangirl. I've always wanted to talk to you. My boy, Patrick. Well, I tell you, I love talking football with you. Oh, I can't wait till the next time. Well, March 1st is come and gone, and it's time to sing. Your eyes may shine, your teeth may grit, but these players you'll never get. Muhammad Wilkerson, New York Jets. You knew that was going to happen anyway. Justin Tucker, Baltimore Ravens. Cordy Glenn, Buffalo Bills. Tremaine Johnson. Janoris Jenkins is still available. Alshon Jeffrey, you knew he wasn't going anywhere. Also Josh Norman. Oh, come on, man. You knew we were not going to get him. And then there's Von Miller. Come on, please. And there's some people talking about Von Miller. I was trying to tell you it's not going to happen. Franchise tagged him. Vaughn got a special franchise tag. You can't even talk to him under any circumstances. And then there was Kirk Cousins. Kirk got away with murder. Kirk was not going to make a $20 million payday. Now that he goes off as a franchise quarterback, they got to pay him $20 million. 24 next year. Kirk doesn't have to say a word. He's getting overpaid as it is. $44 million is the potential. But who knows? He may have a good year. Okay. Also, Eric Berry of Kansas City. The funny thing was, Olivier, I love his name, Olivier Vernon, he got the transition tag. You can look into the details for that for yourself. It's very strange, but he could actually be still had. It's a weird thing. Anyway, I want to ask you a trivia question. Here's a trivia question. Do you remember the last time the 49ers franchise tagged a player? I mean, can you imagine? Guy walks into the front office. More money. What you talking about more money? You realize you're privileged to even play for the 49ers? In fact, you owe us some money. Get the hell up out of here. Seriously, it's rough. I mean, the 49ers take care of players that they really like, and they never get to this point anyway. But I got to tell you right now, Ian Williams, I don't have a good feeling about coming back for next year. And Alex Boone was on shaky ground with the front office anyway. Forget about Alex coming back next year. This is just what I'm saying right now. Let us see what happens next week, but it don't look good, all right? So, anyway, I'll talk more about that maybe this Sunday. 49ers Empire meeting. Yes, it will take place this Sunday. And you can get all the information coming up on Saturday afternoon. You should be able to check it out. Go to Facebook, Ronbo Sports fan page. I will hang all the information, details that you'll need to join in on the meeting. Don't worry about that. Oh, did you notice the shirt? Check that out. Is that cool? Tell you where you get that right now. CNCGraphicDesigns.com. You can get that. See right on the screen, all right? Like if you do. Share and please subscribe so you know when I come back and I'm looking for you. Wait.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Your Lord have me sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.